Something I see that's ravaging our generation right now is purposelessness. And it's even sad to see that amongst Christians, but also young Christian men, because God has given every single one of us a purpose, right? As Christians, we know what we're here for. We're here to serve the Lord and to win souls for the kingdom of heaven. But unfortunately, what I see, and this extends past just young men, just the church in general, is we're very comfortable in resting on our laurels. Right? We're happy being Sunday Christians, going to church, and even if you're past the point of being lukewarm and you're actually like a saved Christian, let's put it that way, right? You're happy to go to church, maybe you're happy to go to small groups and make friends and everything, but it's all about, you're happy with like where your life is at. But there isn't this fervorance, I don't know if I can use that word properly, but there isn't this urge to go out there and just do more and more and more for the kingdom. And particularly with young men, this is where you see the problem manifesting itself. I know that word's kind of got a negative connotation nowadays, but this is where you see it manifesting itself in a purposeless generation, especially with young men, the masculinity crisis and everything, right? But you see the porn epidemic, and the doom scrolling epidemic. And I just want to just take a moment here to be like, bro, this wasn't God's plan for your life. This is not God's plan for our lives. Something Matt Chandler says that really stuck with me was, as a Christian, you should be wrung out every day. Imagine a towel that's got water in it and you wring it out, wring every bit of it out. He said you should go to bed exhausted and you should wake up re-energized, right? Especially as young men, like we are. It's something I see a lot, like just chatting with people of the older generation, even just at work. I see there's this manager, like literally 2 weeks ago, was saying like, man, I'm getting too old for this. You youngsters have got the energy to do this, right? And it's like, when I hear that, I'm like, that's not my experience. But then I also think about, this is how my experience should be, right? Because we have this, and this is something, unfortunately, I learned this from Andrew Tate a couple of years ago. But he was kind of pushing the idea of like, dude, when you're young, do you know you're actually capable of working 18-hour days, getting like 5 hours of sleep, and being able to just wake up and do it again? Like, you're actually capable of doing that? Like, it's inconceivable to me, because I'm always like, oh, dude, I need my 8 hours of sleep, whatever, I wake up feeling tired and stuff. But it's like, your body actually at this age is still developing. It's still able to regenerate. The kind of energy we have now, we're not going to be able to have when we're like 35, 40, 50, right? We're not going to be able, if we have like a long day where we really push ourselves, you'll feel it the next day. This is what I'm hearing. Like, I'm just seeing this, just hearing the older generation speak, right? And it's like, that's not my experience. My experience is, if I don't have a proper night's rest, I feel tired waking up the next day and I feel like I can't get anything done. And what's sad is I'm seeing the older generation is able to do more than we can, and that's not the way it's supposed to be, right? We're young, we're full of energy, our bodies are able to adapt faster, they're able to recuperate faster, right? We should be giving our all. And this is I don't want to say a mandate, but it's something that's put upon every Christian, right? We're supposed to be wrung out every day. And this is something Matt Chandler just said, and it stuck with me. And I just feel we see Christians, we're just happy to rest on our laurels. And I'm going to speak this, I'm going to target this to you young men, because that's, my audience, right? We're called to much more than this, right? We're not supposed to just be strolling through life. And for someone like me, and I feel like this is a part of my job that I see as a blessing, right? I'm doing my articles. I'm there for like 2 more years before I finish. I want to get into ministry, right? One of the things is like, actually a positive is I know that every day I'm really giving a lot. Like, my mind is being challenged. My brain is broken every day. I go to sleep tired because I'm being forced to work so hard, right? But this is one of the good things, that I'm actually being forced to apply myself every day, right? But the difficult part in this is that it's easy to get into a state of like, okay, work is really hard right now. My only objective right now is to survive. And then now I'm not focused on, God's calling on my life. I'm not focused on the fact that I've got a higher calling. My job isn't just to get into my job, clock in, clock out. It's like to do my best at that job, to treat people with love, to be the salt and light of the earth, to show people what a true Christian is. And then after that, after a long day at work, I should still be able to go to church. We have Alpha and she's there. I serve there. I serve I lead like the teenagers group, right? I lead that group, and then on Wednesdays we have young adults. It's like, I'm still called as a Christian to like go to that, to go and serve the Lord with whatever I have left after serving the Lord during the day at work, right? To go give everything that I have left. And it's hard. It's hard. It definitely pushes a lot out of me, right? But it's like, that's what we're called to as Christians, right? We have this energy. our call as Christians on this planet isn't our home. We're not here to just to just chill and I guess be happy, as the world is now putting it now. We have this chase for comfort. That's not what we're called to do as Christians. Our life here is meant to be uncomfortable, right? We're meant to be pushing, giving our all every single day, right? And the beautiful thing is, I'm reminded of this quote by Paul where he says, the troubles of this world do not compare to the glory that will live after we die, right? Forever. Romans 8:18, right? This whole idea of like, this isn't our home. We will take our rest, when Jesus calls our name. Like, that's when we'll take our rest. But as long as we're on this planet, we're here to serve and give our all. Now, this is something that's also really difficult to think about, because like, also again, in my job, I'm like, dude, I despise my job. I'm struggling. I'm like, Lord, why am I here? I want to go do ministry, right? And bigger picture, as men, as young men, as people in general, right? Like, we're actually meant to be pushing every single day towards fulfilling the calling God has put on our lives. And it's inconceivable. It's hard to think someone can wake up excited every single day. Like Matt Chandler's example of like going to sleep wrung out and then sleeping and then waking up and you're ready to do it again, right? And that's exactly what you say. You wake up and you regenerate and ready to do it again. It's like, that sounds inconceivable, dude. Like, a day at work takes everything out of me. I go to sleep, I can't even get proper sleep because I'm stressed so much, and then I wake up in the morning and now I'm supposed to have the energy to do it again. I barely have the energy to just wake up, right? But it's like, I'm reminded of Solomon's quote in Ecclesiastes where he says, I perceived that there was nothing left for man to do than to enjoy his toil. And it's like, enjoy your toil, right? And this is where we start getting into the purpose aspect, right? Of like, a lot of us are so comfortable with like just chasing comfort, living for Fridays, doing what we need to do to get by. But that's not what we're called to as Christians. We're called to be getting after it every single day. We're called to be excited, getting up and doing work for the Lord. Now, this doesn't mean you wake up every day motivated, but it just means like finding that purpose, for lack of a better word. The world has become obsessed with like, finding your purpose, being happy and all this stuff, right? But genuinely, I read that quote, Solomon saying, I perceived there was nothing left for a man to do than to enjoy his toil. I was like, what? I'm supposed to enjoy my toil? My toil feels like something I just want to get away from, right? But as Christians, if you're living in your calling, the purpose God has for your life, you actually will be excited to get up every day and push and do and work your hardest. And I know it's something that's in my prayers, and I'd encourage you to put it in your prayers as well. But to get to a place where I'm actually looking forward to like my job, right? And I know for me, this job thing is a bit of a temporary. I feel like I'm in a wilderness season. It's kind of just like a temporary thing. I know I'm called to like ministry and stuff, right? But you picture someone like, I don't know, dude, like let's use athletes, right? Picture someone who plays football. Like, I'm like, dude, if I was a football player, dude, I'd be so excited to get up every day. I know I wouldn't, but like, I know I'd definitely be pushing, because I'm like, I'm so grateful to have this job. I love this job. I love the aspect of doing this job. I love actually doing this, right? And that's kind of the place we're supposed to be at. Now, that's where it gets difficult, because a lot of us, will get put in places where you're not really passionate about it or whatever it is, right? Or you don't feel like it's your calling. And that's why I implore everyone watching this to really work hard to not work hard, spend a lot of time with God to find out what that calling is on your life, right? And push for it, because this isn't what life is supposed to be like. You're not supposed to just be waking up every day dreading, trying to get through the day. You're supposed to be pushing to be like, damn, there's not enough hours in the day, to do all the work you want to do, right? To do it to the level we want to do it at, right? Like, you look at those people who are like CEOs and they start companies and whatever it is, and they're like obsessed, dude, working 18-hour days, 7 days a week, right? And you're like, I can't imagine doing that. And it's like, we have the capability to do that, and God calls us. I'm not saying to do like 18-hour days and go start $1 million company. I mean, waking up excited to do your work and to work to your highest level, to really apply yourself, to want to apply yourself, right? I don't know if you've ever had something where you're like, I'm really excited to do this. Like, this is work, but I'm like, whew, like I love this. I love this challenge. That's what we're supposed to be pushing for. And I feel like with young men, like we just, we're kind of just stuck in this world of like we're doom scrolling, bro. I mean, one thing that kind of puts this into perspective for me is when I'm still reading through the Old Testament, right? But when I was reading through Chronicles and Kings, and they're rebuilding the temple, right? Like, that thing took ages, right? But it's like Solomon was rebuilding the temple. I'm like, dude, that's so cool. It's like you have this thing that's like, okay. Or you'd see it in Kings all the time, it's a constant turnover of kings because it's just going over a long period of time. But it's like, there was this king that came in, and, Israel had forgotten the Lord, and this king came in, and he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, and he brought religious reform. Right? It's like there's all this work that needs to be done. Like this king came into this country, and there's like all this work that needs to be done, and he's getting after it. He's like, okay, we're going to change this, we're going to change that, we're going to change that. Or like, we need to rebuild the temple. Right? When Solomon was rebuilding the temple, it's like, okay, we have all these plans, we need to do this, and that. I'm like, I want to be excited for something like that. I don't know if that's getting you excited, but it gets me excited. Like, I want to be excited for something like that, right? And that's what our calling is supposed to be, right? We're supposed to be excited to do these things, right? Again, it gets hard. Like, if you do anything worthwhile, it's going to get difficult. You're not going to be excited every single day, right? But I think the general idea of like, I don't have to do this, but I want to do this. I don't have to do this to the best of my ability, but I want to, right? Because I feel like there's a proper like why behind it, to use secular terms, like finding your why. And I think it's something we've kind of lost as a generation, and I think we need to start looking for that. We need to start looking for a calling, and it's not always going to look straightforward, right? You might have to go work a job, you're like, this is kind of a job I just have to do. But like, have an overall calling, right? A calling that God has on you. Find out what that is, and really chase after it, because we're not on this planet for long, but we have so much work God has for us. Jesus, I think it was Jesus who said, the workers are plenty. No, the workers are definitely not plenty. The harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. It's like, dude, there's so much good work to be done for God, but a lot of us are just not on fire. We're just not on fire for God, and I think that's something we definitely need to change. And I think that gets changed through conversation like this. You guys let me know what you think of this in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe to join the community, and we just genuinely just start, getting more excited. Like, life is we're supposed to enjoy our toil, But until next time, I'll see you guys.